Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. What is that on the horizon I see? A yonder? Transfers. Lots of transfers. And it's been a fascinating couple of years when it comes to contracts, and it's kind of bottlenecked into what will be this summer. So much is going to transpire, and there are so many players who are available for free. They will be getting lovely juicy signing on bonuses, but also they've got very high wages, and there are a few clubs struggling to pay those wages. So I've put together a list of the 10 most exciting players that are available for free this summer. We'll talk about their situations, the difficulty of the clubs that they might go to, and I'm going to need your help in the comments for that one. I need you to fill the gaps for the players that I'm not sure where they might go, and also for a few of these players we'll put forward some options of where they might end up. If you are new to the channel and you do enjoy the content and you haven't subscribed as of yet, please do take those 2 seconds, 3 seconds and click that button. We are marching towards 200,000 subscribers, which would blow my mind. So if you'd like to blow my mind in any way, shape or form, hit the subscribe button. Let's start. Number 10, Ousmane Dembele. Now, this is going to be a bit of a sticky situation for the French Barcelona winger, because the situation they had in January was incredibly odd, wasn't it? And Juan Laporta made it very queer. Not sure how I recover from that. Juan Laporta made it very clear that he wanted Dembele to sign, but Dembele shrugged off the ultimatum of the contract that was offered, because the contract, was one where they're trying to be careful and clever with their money, because, of course, Barcelona are struggling heavily when it comes to that. So he left a bit of a sour taste financially for the club in terms of how much he cost to bring in, how much money he has cost in general, the injuries, of course, that he's had, and the fact that he said no to that contract and was ready to move on. However, his performances since then, which I was surprised, I thought they might just kind of freeze him out, but they obviously needed him, especially with the style of play that Xavi wants to play. He's actually done pretty well for himself. A couple of assists in that El Clasico victory, that famous victory, and very, very useful as that right winger a lot of the time for the side. But what's he going to do now? This is the thing. In terms of suitors, you've got the likes of Chelsea, could be a really good option. Down that right-hand side, you've got Ziyech and you've got Mount a lot of the time. Callum Hudson-Odoi seems to be sort of in and out of favour, has a few injury problems of his own, and maybe they would want to go for someone like Ousmane Dembele down that side. But they, of course, have had their own problems in terms of their ownership and how much ability to spend they will have. That could get sorted out, of course, and if that does, then he could be a good option for Chelsea. PSG is another option as well. Maybe if Messi wants to move on, that could work out for him and he could make his way back to France. But him following Messi to a club, it's not worked very well in the past. So this could be one that could rumble on, because I think Dembele has a high value of his worth, understandably so, I guess, because of the money that's been on previously in his career, and he's going to want big bucks. But how is he going to get a club, and are they going to offer up those kind of wages? It could be one of those random ones where he goes to a team that he feels is slightly beneath him in terms of Champions League football, but is a team that is able to pay his wages. Number 9, Xavi Simons. Now, you might remember Xavi Simons from a little while back and seeing maybe a viral video of a bouncy head young lad playing for Barcelona at La Masia and tearing it up. And then you find out his name's Xavi. It all gets very exciting. And since then, he has gone on to progress. Everyone's been very excited about him since he was 11 years old. He hasn't completely burst on the scene like the likes of Jude Bellingham or the likes of Phil Foden, of course. But at 19, he's at a stage now where, being on a free transfer, he needs to make that move, and it needs to be the right one to allow him to develop to be the player that his potential would suggest it should be. He left Barcelona to go to PSG's under-19s, and there he's had a solid season in the UEFA Youth League, scoring 4 goals and assisting 6 in 7 matches. He's also appeared for PSG as well. And what's interesting is he's known as being a playmaker or a centre midfielder or an attacking midfielder, but he's actually been playing as a striker at times for PSG as well. So he has got that flexibility in his play. In terms of where he will move, he's certainly one that you need to keep an eye on, partly because he's got that kind of Martin Odegaard, Freddie Adu kind of hysteria around him, but also, he's a really, really exciting player, and I think a move to Germany would just be bang on for him. Going to Bayer Leverkusen would be a fantastic playground, and the Bundesliga in general is a great place for young players to get games, develop, and in time thrive as well. And then we would see him at those big clubs that, of course, he's been at previously as well. The Dutchman would want to play in that number 10 role, and at Bayer Leverkusen with Florian Wirtz, with his ACL injury, there's an opening there. And also Florian Wirtz is the kind of player that probably, once he gets back fit and firing, will be on his way in the next 18 months. So a move to Germany would be the smart and interesting move for a player who's got huge potential. Number 8, Christian Eriksen, one of the signings of the season, in my opinion, for myriad of reasons. The fact that Brentford should be signing players like Christian Eriksen, first and foremost. Secondly, the impact that he had as well, and how cheap they were able to get him as well. But all those things combined would make you think that Christian Eriksen has kind of made his point and will want to move on to a club that's going to be playing, or at least fighting for Champions League football and playing European football at the very least. And I think that's completely valid. He's been absolutely phenomenal for Brentford, and I think Brentford fans would let him go with love in their hearts, I would say, but also a bit of heartbreak as well, because he's just a phenomenal player in that team and just really does shine. In terms of where he would go, is there a team that plays 4-3-3 that he could fit in with? Because what's great about him is you've got that defensive output at times of a midfielder. He's willing to put that work in, and he's intelligent with his defensive play as well, but also attacking wise, you can go both ways. Doesn't play as your natural number 10, so he offers just so much to the team. Of course, Spurs are linked with him, but I also wonder if Tielemans moves on, he would be a really lovely replacement for Leicester City. Number 7, Paulo Dybala, emotional farewell to Juventus. He said that he wanted to stay at Juventus, but money meant that they weren't able to agree on a salary, and so he is now dispensable for the old lady. And he makes his way out into the wild, and I'm not really sure where he'll end up, if I'm honest. I'd love to know who you think he could go to. He's always been linked with Barcelona, but he's a player who plays on that right-hand side, but likes to cut in. Barcelona play a very asymmetric system where the right winger stays out wide, with likes of Traore, Dembele, of course, who we've spoken about as well. And so if he's going to play as a central striker, maybe he could do that at Barcelona. But then you look elsewhere, another team that he's been linked with, Real Madrid. Again, with the players that are coming in, I'm not totally sure how he fits in. That might be a slightly better fit. But again, you've got Mbappe. Looks like he's coming through the door. Vinicius Jr. Benzema's still obviously going to be the main man next year as well. Hazard, who knows what's going to happen with him. It's very much up in the air for someone like Paulo Dybala right now. And he's been linked with Spurs in the past as well. And even there, you're not going to play as the central striker. You're not going to play out on the right because they've bought Kulusevski. So what do they do? It'd be interesting to see where he ends up at the end of this window. Number 6, Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard is such an odd one here because I think he's a cracking player. Pretty certain of that, and incredible versatility. A player who I believe can play as a central midfielder personally, because I think he's got the engine to get around if you've got a holding midfielder alongside him. Attacking midfield, of course, was fantastic for West Ham in that role. Can play on that left-hand side. He could play off the striker as well because he loves a goal, and you saw that with 13 goal involvements for West Ham during that period last year. You could probably chuck him out on the right-hand side as well. A really, really strong player at 29, knows who he is. I think the last year, I guess the truth will come out in the wash, and I'll be fascinated to know how he feels about it. But I generally have a feeling that if loved, Jesse Lingard is a very, very, very dangerous footballer, and one that should be at the higher end of the Premier League. And so, again, there's a few different options there. West Ham, I'm sure, would jump at the chance of signing him once more. Be interesting to see if he would want to go there. It would be an opportunity to be a key part, but also to play European football once again. And we saw how far West Ham got this year. And Spurs, a really good option as well. Maybe if he wants that Champions League football, then, Conte's not been shy in terms of having a player who's a little bit older, and at 29, Lingard is getting to those 30s years. And I think he'd be a really good fit there as well. If you think of them playing in a 3-5-2, could he play as that third midfielder alongside Bentancur and Højbjerg or Skip? I think that could work if you wanted to go down that route. I think he'd be a really, really good signing for quite a few clubs, and I wonder if he might want to go abroad as well and just challenge himself with one of the international teams where he would get the respect that he deserves, but also play Champions League football. I think it's an exciting summer for Jesse Lingard. Number 5, Corentin Tolisso. This is a really interesting one because he's a very, very well-rounded midfielder, Tolisso. I think part of the problem he had was that he went from being the big fish in that small pond of Lyon, if you want to say it that way. I'm not saying they're not a big team, but 2 European giants in Bayern Munich. And he's just always kind of been a squad player for Bayern, despite having real quality. It'd be interesting to see what he wants to do. Does he want to go somewhere where he's going to play every single week, or does he want to continue to sort of go to that top club and maybe not be in the starting 11, but in a team that plays 60 odd games a season? be a big part of the squad. And at 27 is a real bargain. And if you look at someone like Liverpool, I think he could be ideal for them, because the one thing that Tolisso isn't great at is dribbling. But as a central midfielder for Liverpool, that's not something you really need to concern yourself with. So he could be a really good option to come in, link up with Thiago again, and be another astute signing for the Redmen. Number 4, Alexandre Lacazette. This is a funny one, just because I think we all probably feel a bit funny about him these days, where he feels like this sort of old dude, but he's actually only 30 years old, which isn't old, by the way. He's sort of tweaked his style a little bit and become that facilitator for the team at Arsenal. Showed leadership, I think, as one of the older players, and has been impressive at times, despite losing his place to Eddie Nketiah, of course. He's involved in 11 goals in his Premier League games this year. That was only in 20 Premier League starts as well. Only scored 4 goals, but as I say, played a very different role where he sort of dropped off and linked up the play quite well. And maybe for a team that isn't as counter-attacking, he could offer up that, but also utilise his ability to sort of sniff out goals through his movement, which we know that, of course, he's had throughout his career. So there are 2 nice options for Lacazette, in my opinion. First of all, Celtic going into the Champions League next season, and in terms of having a different character, you've got JaackMaate and Kyogo up top. He would be something entirely different for Celtic. Would be able to play Champions League football. I think would be a great addition in terms of, yes, the experience that he provides, but also that quality that he has. He's a good finisher, and he would be like a star man there. I think it would be a nice move for him, and it just offers something that the squad doesn't currently have. The second option, which I think is a good option stylistically, but also kind of from a psychological point of view, would be to go to Borussia Dortmund. The reason I think this would work is because you've got Haaland leaving. This is a striker who scored 86 goals in 89 appearances for the club. Those are huge shoes to fill. And almost by bringing someone like Lacazette, who, again, facilitates and drops into space and is a bit more selfless, let's say, than someone like Haaland, he could come in and fulfill a completely different role. And so the whole club's not thinking, oh, you're not Haaland, because he'll come through the door with everyone knowing you're not anywhere near Haaland. So the team is having to play differently. You've also got Adeyemi coming in, and you don't want to put that pressure on him to score the same amount of goals. And so this would double up in the fact that you've got a guy alongside him, but also you've got someone that should be able to find him, and also by dropping deep, create space from in behind. Number 3, Paul Pogba. There will be so many videos on this guy, and I'll do a few myself, because why the hell not? There's been so much discussion around this guy. He is an enigma. He is frightfully talented, but frightfully frustrating at times as well. And what do? Do you stay at Man United? And the only way I see him staying is if him and Ten Hag have a conversation. And I say conversation, Ten Hag has to go, I want you. Because I think, again, Pogba, how long has he got to wait? He wants those glamorous moves. And I think at Man United, it's just not worked, has it? Let's be honest. And I think what's put off him moving prior to this is the fact that Man United weren't going to let him go unless they got some decent money for him, and that put off suitors for him, in particular Real Madrid. That is now not the case. He will leave on a free transfer, his contract gone, and so that signing on fee will be hefty, but the transfer fee won't be there, and so that might make it a lot easier for Real Madrid to go and get him and get that deal done after so much conversation. But it might not as well. There's been talks with PSG at times, and I think those are the kind of clubs that will see the marketing position of Paul Pogba, but also could find a place for him in their team. He could fit in well in both midfields. I guess that what will be really interesting is in 2 years' time, when Man United want to sign him again, and they go Pog back again for 200 million. That's going to be really good fun. So something to look forward to there. But Paul Pogba, he's got a couple of suitors. But again, if those don't work out, like a few players on this list, he could find himself, what's the phrase, in a boat without a paddle? Is that the one? Number 2, Gareth Bale. Again, another fascinating one. This transfer window is going to be so good, because there's so many players here who've been on extortionate amounts of money and don't really know what to do with themselves. And a lot of clubs that are kind of going, well, I don't really want to pay that much money anymore. That's the feeling I'm getting here. The big thing with Gareth Bale, who's not a fan of Real Madrid, and Real Madrid aren't really a fan of him, despite him being a 4 times Champions League winner. What have you got to do? So he's set to move away. I don't think there's been many contract talks with Real Madrid. And the big thing here is there's one question here. How long does he want to play for? In terms of what he's doing with his life, it sounds like he's opening up a few diners and bars in Cardiff City Centre. He's basically playing Monopoly in Cardiff City Centre at the moment. And he's obviously loving his golf. He's got all sorts going on. Fingers and pies for Gareth Bale. But I think a lot hinges on the World Cup and if Wales make it there. If Wales make it there, I don't see him retiring. And to be honest, I think he might. He's always been a bit of a romantic. And I do wonder if there is a cheeky move to like a Cardiff or something like that, where he just goes and have some fun at a level where he can just absolutely run it. But if he wants to kind of keep himself ticking along, but also provide a little bit of cotton wool for himself as well, maybe AC Milan, who've been sniffing around, or Spurs as well, and he could kind of play in the Europa League games or the Champions League games, as it looks like it's going to be at the time of recording. I don't know which one it's going to be, and on a short-term deal maybe to get himself fit and firing for that World Cup if Wales make it. And in the number one spot, it has to be Kylian Mbappe. Cheers, Kylian. Thanks for that. Got to record this now to get it up to 10. And actually, there's a few others. Zagadou, Suarez, and Angel Di Maria. That is the man I'm going to put forward. By the way, there is a Kylian Mbappe video on the channel. My problem with Kylian Mbappe. People seem to like it. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts on it after he signed that contract extension at PSG. But Angel Di Maria, of course, hasn't worked for him in the Premier League before, but PSG have let players go in the past who are a little bit older. And yes, maybe his race is run for PSG, but that doesn't mean he's not quality. Think of Cavani, moving on, looking great. Thiago Silva, moving on, still looking great. Angel Di Maria could be a really, really good option on a one-year deal. I'm seeing Spurs. I know we've spoken about them a lot in this video, but I'm also seeing maybe Newcastle. Top 16 probably won't want to go near him, I would imagine. And if he wants the cash and wants to be a hero, that would just be perfect for Newcastle on a one-year deal. So could be an option. You never know. Angel Di Maria taking Newcastle to the next level, playing little 1-2s with Bruno Guimaraes, could be tasty. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. If you have enjoyed yourself, hit the like button. If you want to stay up to date with all the transfer stuff, and we're going to be doing scout reports and all sorts of fun things, make sure you subscribe as well and hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts on the players in this list and some players that I might have missed out as well that you think could be good talking points for the channel. I'd love to read them, and then we can try and make some videos on them as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Maybe if Messi wants to... Messi? Fucking hell, what is wrong with you? Messi wants to move on, then Messi... Jesus.